I'm going to be working on all of these outboard motors. I've been collecting them. These are trade-ins from the dealer. Some of these engines run and some of them don't. I'm going to see what's good and what's bad, basically. Here's some more motors that I have that needs to be gone through. Sure, we have some bad ones laying here. The first motor I'm going to try to see if it runs is this 150 Evinrude 2-stroke. Get the latches open. This should slide out now. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my forklift and lift it in the air so we can actually work on it. I just pulled all of the spark plugs out, and as you can see, I don't see any rust on them, which means that there's no water in the cylinders and they're pretty much all consistent. I'm going to spray a little bit in each cylinder. I got my jumper cables hooked up directly to the starter, which is going to spin the starter and it's going to blow all that oil out. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do a quick compression test on this motor. Looks like we got 110. 110 also. 105. We're at 115. We're at 115. Almost 115. We're gonna try to fire her up. A fuel leak on this rail, leaking on the bottom. In order to get to it, I gotta split these cases. It's leaking right there. On the rail, they use 2 O-rings. I'm gonna have to order some, but other than that, this motor is actually a good running motor. I just have to clean it up. Got some degreaser. I'm just gonna wash off my dirty fingerprints that I put on this motor. Just got this cart, got it on sale. It was $103. I saved like 30 bucks. Someone returned it and didn't want it. Got my cart filled up with my stuff. Got basic stuff, oils, compression tester. There's some tools in here. I'm gonna go get another motor and we're gonna try to work on it. We're gonna check out this Mercury to see if it's any good. Got this motor up all the way. I just took all the spark plugs out. They all look good. No water in the cylinders. Just gonna put some lubricant in the cylinders. I'm gonna run a compression check because the power head could be junk. 100 psi on that one. 110 is at 100. It's at 100 also. 105. Our last cylinder is at 100 psi, so I know our power head is good. I was about to get my flathead to crack open the oil screw to check the gear fluid, what color it is, and look at this. The lower unit's bad on this thing. We have an exact match, which I'm pretty surprised. I had this lower unit sitting here for a long time and I never thought I would use it. I think the next motor I'm gonna get is this E-Tech, and this is supposed to be a running motor with no issues. This is a definitely very clean motor. This thing must not have a lot of hours on it. This thing should be ready to fire up. Oh yeah. She's a good running motor. Just gotta clean her up. Gonna spray some degreaser on here to get all this grease off. I just cleaned up the motor and she looks pretty much brand new. I'm gonna put this one up and we're gonna work on another motor. I think I'm gonna go ahead and pull this Optimax. Looks like it's 225. Looks fairly clean. Don't really see a lot of corrosion or anything on here. Looks like we got 100 on that one. 110. Looks like we're at 100. Is at 95. Looks like we're at 100. 95. just finished up cleaning the motor. I wiped it down and she's looking really good. I'm gonna put this motor up and I'm gonna go grab another one to work on. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna check out this Yamaha 250. I don't know nothing about it. I know that one is locked up. I mean, this is all eaten up. I mean, this is pretty thin right here. This is what it's supposed to be. Look at the metal here and look what happened here from the salt water. It's still gonna bring it up there. We'll see what's up with it. I just took all the plugs out and we're gonna squirt some oil in the cylinders because this motor has been sitting for a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the motor over to blow that oil out. It's supposed to be in neutral. Yeah, it doesn't feel good and it stops right there. Let's see if the power head's any good though. 110 PSI. Looks like 110 again. This one's at 120, 115, 108, and the last cylinder has 110 PSI. What I did was I put the plug back in the ignition boot, put it against the cylinder head, and if it has spark, we should be able to see it. It's really hard to see, but it did spark. This motor should start up. Got everything hooked up, water, fuel, battery. Let's see what happens. I noticed my warning buzzer is coming on. It could be something simple as my oil float sensor in the tank could be bad. I'm gonna have to swap the power head on my other motor because this is just too eaten up and this lower unit's no good. It would just be a better option rather than just putting a lower unit on here. I don't think I'm gonna do anything to this right now. I don't remember what's wrong with this. We'll see what's up with it. So if everything checks out, it should not be making any noise. I'm almost positive that something's wrong with the gear case, so we're gonna fire this thing up and hopefully it runs smooth. Yeah. It's definitely my lower unit. Here's our parts motor for that 200. This is a 175. Going to grab this lower unit out of here. Getting the last bolt out right now. Gonna start her up and see what happens. I just swapped the lower unit onto here and it seems like it's doing the same thing that one's doing. I'm about to look into that. I'm gonna put everything up right now because I'm pretty tired. I grabbed the Mercury because we're gonna be working on it today and we have a slight issue. I noticed that when I turned this prop, it was kind of hard to turn. We have two lower units that have issues. We're gonna crack the screw and check the gear fluid and see what's going on. I just pulled the gear case out of the motor and we're gonna drain the oil. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Why it was locking up. Literally have water in here. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna try something. That's the old lower unit with all the water draining out of it and the bearings locking up, so that one's pretty much trashed. And this is the original one. This one was making a noise. I'm gonna try to give it a fluid change and see what happens. It's probably not gonna fix my problem, but I'm gonna at least try. Getting some fresh gear fluid in the gear case right now. Here comes the fun part. I gotta line everything up. Perfect, went right in. Got everything hooked up and we're gonna see how she runs with this lower unit. I got everything back on the outboard. It runs good, but there still is a thumping noise coming from the lower unit. It's gonna need to be rebuilt, but for now I'm just gonna put it up and I'm gonna move on to the next one. So I decided that it's probably a good idea to check all the fluids. Went over here, I checked my hydraulic fluid, and look at that, there's none in there. I know I have a leak in the rear steering ram that I need to fix, but thankfully I checked this because there's no fluid here. I have some fluid that I bought, gonna put it in there, and in the future I'm gonna have to fix that leak. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add some engine oil because it's a little low. Make sure all the fluids are all topped off before we start using it again. I just got everything topped off on the forklift. Start to try it up. We're ready to work on some more motors. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna grab this Mercury motor. Got everything hooked up, we'll see what happens. Checking the first cylinder. We're at 100. There's our problem. We barely have any pressure in the second cylinder. This motor is no good. This one's at 100, so we have 100, 0, and 100. I found out that this motor has low compression. Basically for parts or rebuild, I'm not going to be rebuilding it, so I'm gonna put it back and I'm gonna grab another motor and we're just gonna keep moving along. This is a 70 horsepower Johnson 2-stroke. It's a pretty basic motor. I don't know anything about it. Let's take these plugs out. We'll do a quick compression test and we'll go from there. We'll get some oil in the cylinders. We'll turn it over right now to blow all that oil out. Let's do a compression check. 130 psi. A little over 130. This is the last one. A little over 130. We're within about 3 psi. What we're gonna do is put the plugs back in and try to fire her up. The motor actually runs pretty good now. At first it was acting up a little bit, but now after running it for about a minute or so, it cleared out. Let me show you guys. Just gonna go ahead and degrease some of this grease on the motor. Pretty impressed of how old these motors are, and they still run pretty strong. I got the motor all cleaned up. I'm gonna start it up one more time. Runs really good. I went ahead and I grabbed this Evinrude 70. It's basically the same thing as the Johnson 70 I was just working on. Don't know anything about it, so we're gonna go through pretty much the same exact steps as the last one. I'm gonna take these spark plugs out. We're gonna run a compression check on this. We're gonna put some oil in the cylinders. Then we're gonna turn it over. We're gonna go ahead and do a compression test. It's 120. Second cylinder. Looking at 110. The last cylinder. We're looking at 110. Gonna go ahead, put the plugs back in, and we're gonna try to fire this motor up. Trying to get the air box off because I had a T-fitting that broke. This is supposed to go down there, which connects to the lower carb, and the plastic piece which is in there, it's broken and it needs to be replaced, so I'm gonna have to find one. I just got back from the store and this is my replacement part. I got the air box installed back on the motor and I cleaned it up a little bit. Gonna start her up so you can hear her run. I just finished working on this motor. All I had to do is change a plastic fitting. Other than that, it's a good running motor. Time to put this one up and go get another one. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna grab this Honda motor. Looks like it's a 115. It's a 4-stroke, so let's see if it's a runner or not. Put a chain on here, bring in there. Got everything hooked up right now. My battery, fuel, my controls. Let's see what this thing does. Seems to run. I am gonna run a compression check because I feel like it was running a little funny. I don't know, maybe it's a Honda thing, but I just want to make sure that I have full compression on all 4 cylinders. We're at 160. It's 155. And there it is. I was suspecting that something was wrong, and looks like we don't have compression on the 3rd cylinder. Cylinder number 4. Looks like we're at 100. And this is why it's very important to do a compression check on a motor that you're purchasing, because it might have low compression. It might run fine. You just never know. I'm gonna try this Tohatsu 2-stroke outboard. Here it is. Looks pretty clean. Don't see too much corrosion on it. Gonna pull the plugs out, run a compression test, and see where it's at. Looks like someone went ahead and they put new plugs in here. We're gonna go ahead and squirt some oil in here, and we'll turn it over so it can lubricate the cylinders. Cylinder number 1. Well, that's not good. There's not a lot of compression in there. This is cylinder number 2. 155. Cylinder number 3. We're looking at 155. And the last cylinder, 155. So basically we have like 0, 155, 155, and 155. It sucks that this motor has low compression. The power head looks pretty clean. This is going to be a good parts motor, or for someone to rebuild. I'm going to put it back on the pallet and put it back up. I went ahead and I got this Mercury 40 from all the way in the back. Going to get these spark plugs out so we can do the compression check. I'm going to go ahead and put some oil in the cylinders and turn it over really quick. Now it's time for the compression check. 130 psi on the top cylinder, 130 psi on the middle cylinder, 130 psi. Got the plug in. We're gonna see if it sparks, and it has a good spark. Got the plugs in, tightening them down right now, and we're gonna try to start her up. We got everything connected to make this motor run. Let's see what happens. Really good. Oh yeah, nothing wrong with it. Pumping good water too. I went ahead and I wiped down the motor. It's pretty impressive on the year, which is a 2000 model. On the condition of this motor. This is really nice when I get motors that don't need pretty much no work and they just start up. I'm gonna put this engine in my garage and we're gonna move on to the next one. I grabbed this Suzuki Outboard. This is a 74 stroke. We're gonna bring it in the air and we'll see if it's a runner or not. Have a little bit of bad news. It is locked up. The flywheel will not turn. The first thing we're gonna do is remove the spark plugs. We're gonna see if we have any water in the cylinders. These are the spark plugs that I just removed from the engine. The first 2 are fine. The 3rd one, as you can tell, it's different. That's rust. It has water in the cylinder. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna squirt some oil in the cylinders and try to break this free. Nothing?
Nothing. Yeah, I don't think you moved it any.
I just couldn't break it free. I don't want to put too much pressure, because if you do, you will start breaking stuff internally. I also found that there's a huge crack in the lower unit right here. And also there's a piece that's cracked right here. Just gonna use this motor for parts. we're gonna put this motor up and we're gonna go work on another one. I'm gonna go ahead and grab this Yamaha 300 2-stroke. This motor is supposed to be a runner. We're gonna hook it up and we'll see if that's true. Got the motor in the air. Gotta fill the oil reservoir with some 2-stroke oil because it's empty. I'm gonna go ahead and take these plugs out so I can get compression readings on this outboard. 115 psi. 115. 115. About 118, I'd say. 120 with this one. Is at 120. The compression on this engine was really good. We should be ready to start this thing. Hopefully it runs. Some degreaser here. I'm gonna clean her up a little bit. Gonna make her look brand new. I just finished cleaning the outboard. She looks really good, runs really good, great compression. Didn't really need anything, just a good cleaning. She's a great motor. We're gonna put her up and grab another one. I'm gonna go ahead and grab this Johnson 200 horsepower. This is a 2-stroke. I don't know anything about it, so we're gonna have to figure out if it's a good motor or not. I think the first thing I'm gonna do is take these spark plugs out, put some oil in the cylinders. I'm gonna do a quick test to see if the engine sparks. Definitely does. I ran a compression check on the motor. It came out good. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get this thing ready to fire up. I went ahead and I cleaned this outboard. It runs really good, doesn't need anything. We're gonna put this one up and we'll go grab another one. I just pulled this Yamaha 42-stroke out of my garage. Runs really good. Figured I'd show you guys how well she runs. These Yamahas, they always run really good. I recommend getting one of these. Just because these are older 2-stroke doesn't mean that they are bad. They're very easy to work on, very reliable, and as you can see, they are very simple. Spraying some degreaser on here, trying to get all that grease and grime off of it. I just finished cleaning the Yamaha. Looks pretty clean. Overall, for its age, I'd say it's a fairly well taken care of engine. If you look underneath, it's pretty much spotless. Looks almost new. Great engine. Gonna put this up and gonna grab another motor. I just grabbed this Yamaha 48 horsepower 2-stroke. This is a Enduro model. You don't see too many of these. That's because this engine has to be imported. They are not sold in the US. Gonna show you underneath the hood what it looks like. It's actually really clean underneath here. This is a 1999 year. It's very simple, easy to work on. Everything's manual start, manual trim. It's been sitting for about 6 months, and we'll see if she still runs good. gonna go ahead and clean this motor up. It's dirty, dusty. It's been sitting, as you can see. Gonna make her look brand new. Gonna go ahead, get this degreaser on here. I just finished cleaning the outboard. I mean, look how clean this thing came out. For how old this thing is pretty mint. Outside looks good too. Got the hood up there, got that all cleaned up. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna move on to the next one. I went ahead and brought up this Evinrude E-Tech 250 horsepower. I bought this about 7 months ago. They told me it was a runner, but it's been sitting. Hopefully it runs still. We're gonna find out. Got the hood off this engine and it doesn't look too bad in here. It's actually clean. I think the first thing I'm gonna do is pull these plugs out, squirt some oil in there because like I said, it's been sitting for a while. Getting these plugs out right now. Gonna get some of this oil in here. We're gonna turn this over for a little bit so the oil could blow out of the cylinders. We're gonna put a compression test on each cylinder and we'll make sure we have good compression. 115 psi. It's like 115. 120 psi. We're at 115. At 115. We're at 115, so we have good compression. Went ahead and removed all the bolts for the side pieces. These come off so we could easily work on it. This is where my oil line goes and it's missing, so we're gonna put our own. I already have a hose and basically it just goes to the oil injection system. I just got my line connected and then I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna put this piece back on. All right, everything's hooked up. We got water. Let's see what happens. Oh. There we go. Pretty impressed. It runs actually really good after sitting for so long, and I mean this thing has some power. I'm just gonna go ahead and clean it up right now. It's gonna make her look really nice. I got the outboard all cleaned up. This engine didn't really need anything. It actually runs pretty good. We're gonna go ahead and put this one up and we're gonna grab another one. I have this Yamaha 150 two-stroke that we're gonna be working on. It's actually in pretty good shape. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get it off the pallet. We're gonna go ahead and do a quick compression test. Let's get some oil in the cylinders. Gonna turn this over for a couple seconds. Get that oil out of the cylinders. 115 psi. This one's at 115. This one's at 115 also. Is at 120. A little under 120. 115 psi, so as long as we have spark, this should be a runner. I have a spark plug in the ignition boot. We're gonna see if it sparks. And yes, it does. Getting these spark plugs back in. The outboard's running. You guys might wondering why it's smoking a lot, and there's two reasons. I'm running premix in there, and another reason is I'm missing the lever that connects to the oil injection system, and when this isn't connected, it's stuck wide open when it's supposed to be in that position when it's at idle. We're getting a lot of lubrication, so I'm gonna have to find in my parts bin this lever because we're gonna need that. This is why it's always good to have a parts motor, because gonna open it up and take it off of here. This is what's missing. Just have to disconnect it from the oil injection pump. This is what it looks like when you take it off. I'm gonna go ahead and take this off. Now we gotta get this one off. Hopefully it's not frozen in here. Looks like I'm gonna have to go to my parts motor and grab the trim switch. The button is broken here. Got everything out, and this is what it looks like. But there's no switch here. Let's take it out. Just got it out. We're gonna install it and hopefully we have a good replacement. I just put the switch in. Let's see if it works. Yep. Perfect. We got a working switch now. I'm gonna clean it up. There's a bunch of grime in here that needs to come out. We're gonna make the motor look looking really good. Get it sprayed down. We'll get this thing rinsed down. I just got done cleaning the motor and she's looking spotless. Looks really good. And we're gonna transfer this outboard onto that stand. I'm gonna start her up for the last time. This thing sounds really good. This is a 1992. I'd say it's in pretty good shape for the year, and she runs really good. It's a very strong motor. I'm gonna put this in my garage and we're gonna get another motor. I just brought up this Evinrude 150 E-Tech. I'm not sure what's up with it. Hopefully it just starts right up. Went ahead, got the plugs out of here, put oil in there to lubricate the cylinders. Now I'm gonna take the side pieces off because I have to hook up my line to the oil pump. I'm gonna go ahead and do a compression test just to make sure we don't have a low cylinder. A little over 120 on this one. 125 on this one. A little over 120 on this one. 125 on that one. It's a little over 125. 125 on that one, so we have good compression. Gonna go ahead and check for spark. Got my spark plug in the ignition boot. Let's turn it over. I just saw a spark, so we're gonna go ahead and hook up some fuel to it. Got everything hooked up to start it. Let's turn the key and see what it does. Start it up. We're gonna go ahead and degrease the motor, trying to make her look clean again. She actually ran pretty good. Got everything together and we're gonna start it up one last time before putting this engine up. Start right up. I just finished up cleaning the Evinrude and I mean she's looking really good. Didn't really need much. I mean just a good cleaning. I did a compression test. I came out really good. So overall, great running engine. The Evinrude is going to be the last outboard that I'm going to be working on in this video. I have plenty of more outboards to go through, but for now we're stopping here. And if you guys are interested in more of these types of videos, please stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Bye.